Hello and welcome to the David Mamano Show. I am so happy that, first of all, you are all here today, listening, watching. Very much appreciated. I have a really hot guest today, and I'm not saying that in the way you think I'm. Well, he is. He's a good-looking guy for sure, but he's a hot guest because he is the king of Karma hot sauce. Which we're going to try a lot of it today. If you're watching this on video, you're going to see a lot of just about all the sauces here. We're going to try some of them. I'm going to start with the easy ones first, and maybe throughout the podcast, so I'll end on like the one that's going to make me cry. But I want to welcome to the show Eugene, but you go by Gene Olczak. Yes. Gene, welcome.
Well, thank you very much for having me here. It's a privilege.
I'm so glad to have you here. Now, most of my guests throughout the years, I've been podcasting since 2016, are national. I mean, I've had Ed Milet, I've had Kendra Scott from the jewelry company, I've had Grant Cardone. Most of my guests are national or global. But every now and then I find somebody here in Rochester, New York, otherwise known as The Rock, that is like, it's a wow factor. You just happen to be in Rochester, but you are a national sensation when it comes to hot sauce. It's called Karma sauce, and so we're gonna learn a lot about it. You're on the show called Hot Ones for many years now. Bobby Flay's tried it. Lady Gaga's tried it. Bill Murray's tried it. Right. And they love it. If you pass Bobby Flay, right, you're doing pretty well. And he had Gordon Ramsay too, right?
Right. Yeah, he was a fan of the sauce. We have two different modes we work with Hot Ones. One is where we have our own sauces, Karma sauce branded, which you have in front of you.
Yeah.
And then we also do like the Los Calientes sauces, which are on every season since season 6. So It's been most of the seasons that Hot Ones has existed, we've been on there, except for the very first ones.
So what did Gordon Ramsay have to say about the sauce?
He was really pleased with it. He was surprised that it had apricots in it. He's like, what's this? Apricots. Oh, it's very good. You really nailed it with this one, or words to that effect. It's been a minute. So
because he Gordon is known for, if he doesn't like it, he's going to tell you, right?
And he had I believe he had a lot of comments on the quality and prep of the wings that the sauces went on. So
right,
I think there's been some follow up on that.
He doesn't hold back. Well, I'm glad to have you live in person in the studio. That's one of the benefits of being here in Rochester with me. And we also have your, we'll call him PR director. You called him what? Your hot Karma lead. Is that right?
Hot takes lead.
Vince
Press.
Hello, Vince. How are you?
Hello, everybody.
Vince is sitting off to the side here. Little side note. Beautiful Rochester stories here. Vince and I grew up together. I think you started in our school district in 7th grade. 7th, 8th grade, you came in, and he was, is it safe to say that you were kind of like a metalhead back then, wearing the Iron Maiden shirts, Metallica shirts, long hair, and he did beat me up once, which we'll talk about later. Okay. But now we're friends. We're friends for a long time now, right? So no more beating up. Thank you, Vince. I appreciate that.
Kind of a Ozzy, Tommy Iommi situation, right?
It was a great learning experience for me. So thank you, Vince.
Well, I just hope not to get beat up anytime soon.
Just don't piss him off. So no. But Gene, I want to tell our listeners and viewers a little bit more about you. Because your bio is so impressive. So, actually, you would think that you have this great culinary background, but by trade, you are an optics and space engineer with 45 patents and counting. And you did contribute to the James Webb Space Telescope for NASA.
Correct.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was a really great gig. It really was.
Yeah, you still doing it? You're still tinkering with that on the side?
Right now, no. We try to come up with little tech projects for the sauce business and optical inspection and whatnot, but nothing quite at the level of the Space Telescope integration work.
So let's just jump on that for a second. You're in this completely, like, I can't think of two more different industries than optics, space, and hot sauce. So just bring it back to the beginning. How did all of a sudden, what was the impetus and genesis of you starting to make hot sauce?
It went back to when we moved here. I was working at the G Research Labs before coming back to Rochester for so that we could be closer to my wife's family, because our children were born in Niskayuna Schenectady County. Decided to move back, and I just made a call to what had been Kodak, but then was an ITT, and I think it was Excellus at the time. So it's one of these places that's on Lee Road, but the sign on the curb changes, but the work kind of remains the same over the decades. So it turned out we bought a house around the corner from the studio in the winter and underappreciated how many locust trees it had and how deep the shade was. And so I couldn't do my usual vegetable gardening because I've always had a culinary interest going back forever. And I worked as a sous chef out in the Hamptons when my mom was living out there. And, so my neighbors had some sunshine and they didn't know as much about vegetable gardening as I did. So I helped, build raised beds, and we worked on this together. And then this was in 2009, and started this at Laura Che's, her interest in doing a locavore challenge with her and her clients at their studio in East Rochester, acupuncture, balance acupuncture. So that's where we started doing like a hyper local sort of stuff. And I was like, well, I'm not going to buy any hot sauce. I'm going to really just double down and get into making, not using anything for more than 25 miles away. And so I said, well, let's use butternut squash. Might be a novel basis for a sauce. We have a lot of that around. It was in the fall. So we kind of did that. And Laura was like, wow, you could quit your day job with this. And so we, 10 years later I did, but I was, it was kind of at a hobby level, evenings and weekends for a while, although I did build out an FDA approved kitchen in my garage, with a 40-gallon kettle and a, semi-automatic bottle filler and all that. But it was, 300 plus square feet initially.
I'm seeing a crossover with your engineering skills with building the kitchen and the precision of doing the launch of your hot sauce business.
Yeah, a lot of it was DIY stuff, in terms of putting it together. It was out of necessity somewhat because the way we do things is not conventional for most, but the term is co-packing,
yep,
or co-manufacturing, where it's like, okay, we want really standardized ingredients that we can simply mix together. We do some novel processes at our facility, and we continue to do that. So we do, we can make things that other people can make as well, but then we have a few things like, we're going to, applewood smoke our peppers, or we're going to, do these vinegar infusions and do some fermenting that are a bit different than what most folks do.
So in the beginning, were you doing like just like town, festivals and markets and things like that?
Yeah, so you try to get out, to the best, that's when my weekends of being like a farmer's market junkie kind of came to an end, because now I'm working all the weekends. Saturday, I can't really go down and just hit, the Fairport market and the public market and the Brighton market, which I used to do all the time, just kind of like enjoy those spaces, which I'm getting back to a little bit more now that I have I'm not always working weekends. But yeah, it is something that I enjoy, and there is a lot of overlap with the doing things. And
then it just became like you're selling so much, and you're like, in reality, you're like, this could become a full-time business, and I could quit my day job as an optics engineer.
Yeah, it took a while. There was a big change when I just committed to going full-time versus prior to that. There is a big difference between that evening and weekends, at least for my experience, in terms of outcomes. It's a non-linear thing. When you're going full-time, your potential partners view that differently than when you're still doing it, on the weekend.
Right.
And even though it was another 6 months before we moved out of the garage.
So you started here we're actually in the town where you started, Bushnell's Basin, right here. We're actually recording in Bushnell's Basin, and this is happening where you live. Your first year in business, you did a whopping $8,000 in sales, which is roughly about 2,000 bottles. So impressive, right, as a hobby. 8 years later, this is when it really took off, because then you debuted on the Hot Ones show.
Right, with Extreme Karma.
With Extreme Karma.
Yep.
And then that year you did 400,000 in sales.
Yeah, so that year it was interesting because I'd worked with Heatonist on a small project before in the prior year, which was like a really niche sauce, much like the one I was working on today, but today's sauce has a bigger distribution. It was like a strawberry fennel with bergamot.
Wow.
Sauce. It was really a hyper exotic sort of thing you might use on a charcuterie board. And, small volume, we maybe shipped out like a half a pallet or something like that. And then we did Extreme Karma, which, it's even up into December, they're like, I said, so are we on the show or not? Like, oh yeah, maybe. I mean, anything could change. It was like had a bit of spontaneity to it. And then I had made 5 pallets of the sauce, and I was like, sitting there and packed in as tight as it could be in the garage. And I'd never made that much of one thing before. So I was a little nervous about it, going. And then like 3 weeks later, it was all gone,
Right.
So that was fun. And then a couple of months after that, they're like, well, we want you to do another custom sauce. And they, by the way, do we mention this is going to be the next Hot One sauce? So we had both the introduction onto Hot Ones with Extreme Karma and the new business of a Hot Ones branded sauce, of which there have been several. They've got maybe 10 or so. I'm not know the exact number, but the Los Calientes are their biggest sellers. So
yeah,
that's been really just great, and that's just taken off. So
well, speaking of taking off, now you're over. It's a $4 million company, right? Selling millions of bottles globally.
Yes,
yeah.
Most in the U.S., but some outside the country.
Yeah, and you're in downtown Rochester now. You've moved out of your basement, and you have a full production and fulfillment facility. And then you're also sold in specialty shops like our hometown store of Wegmans, which is now getting more and more all over the East Coast. Whole Foods, Price Chopper, Market 32. So you're really getting more and more distribution in retail stores as well.
Correct. Yeah, and we have we have a larger selection, say in places like Redbird Market, which was our first ever retailer right here in Fairport, and Niblack's and Lori's. And Cook's World, Parkley, places like that. So a lot of the shops we are in across the country are also like that. So we were looking for some of the bigger shops that will have a more smaller, tighter distribution of stuff, and then we have all of our crazy flavors that may go out a little bit broader.
It seems like you would just have like this really rabid fan base, right? Like once they try it, they want to try more and more of your hot sauces, and they just become like incredible, massive fans.
Yeah, we do have some of that, and it's really kind of cool that happens. And we're finding right now, like one of the things that's we're not struggling with, but we're playing with, and when we bring it out, we have like this one called Yellow Moruga Funkin' Hot that we discontinued. Like, well, that's kind of similar to this Carnival, and it's like that. And you hear this sort of like conventional wisdom. Oh, you need to really pare down, and we discontinue this or that, which is fair. But if you're doing things, self-fulfillment from your own warehouse, and you have some customers that like it, you don't necessarily have to drop quite as many things. Now, whether it goes into major distribution is a question, right? Because it doesn't make sense to ship things to like KeHe's a major distributor in the U.S. They don't want to have anything sitting in their warehouse that's not moving, where we can have a little bit more tolerance for slow moving stuff at our own facility, right?
Do most people, the majority of sales, are they buying it online through your website or other online vendors?
Other online vendors, yes, especially if we talk about Heatonist and some of the other online retailers as well. Most of our stuff goes out through retailers, wholesale. Okay, is the majority of like 98% of our business. So, and most of our sauce also leaves New York State too. That's another thing. So the majority of the sales are elsewhere.
That's great. Don't have all your eggs in one basket in one state, right? So you're not.
When I'm looking for money, I try to emphasize that we're an exporter. Right?
Yes,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sounds like you heard that from your PR guy. I don't know, but
no, he's like hearing that for the first time. But we're just hoping we don't get hit with any trade tariffs from Ohio or anything. So
right. Oh, geez, let's not hope it goes state to state, right? So
right.
So you have how many flavors do you have now? I mean, this has dozens of flavors. Do you know that?
About 20-ish. I'd have to go back and count. We just had a couple of new things come out, and I haven't.
You have all different levels where it could be very tolerable to like, oh my God, my face is turning red and I'm going to explode, and everywhere in between.
Yeah, we do. The only thing we don't really get into is the really nasty like extract-based sauces, like think of Dave's Insanity sauce or the Bomb, where they put some of the oil resins in there, and they kind of have like a chemical dirty flavor. So we have stuff that will blow your head off. That's all natural, and believe it or not. almost all the super hots we use are grown right in New York State, which surprises people that we can grow these at all. So it's something.
That's great. Well, and being here in Rochester, we're very close to the Finger Lakes, and I know that you try to get a lot of your ingredients from the Finger Lakes area, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. That's great. So how do you just grow enough peppers, or buy for people that grow enough peppers around the state, to last, for the winter, and they're stored, or are there ways to grow them year long?
Here we are not doing anything with like a hothouse stuff that you might see with like the tomato crops, like winter grow. Although we actually are buying some number 2 tomatoes from them as well, just as a local source. Because I actually just ran out of my own tomatoes that I grew because I was growing too many of them for a while, and they were in storage for a couple of years. So what we do is, I just sold my own farm because I'm getting too busy with this. I transferred all my equipment to my brother-in-law and sister-in-law in Nunday, so they're growing peppers out there instead of our place in Bristol right now. Also work with farmers in Penn Yan and Dundee. And the way we set it up is, we get to huddle in December, decide what we're going to grow, look at where our current inventory is, where we want to add peppers, and then we're doing it by acreage essentially, or row feet or plants, however you want to put it. Yeah. And I commit to buying whatever they grow. Yeah. Right. And so 2023 was a poor year because of all the Canadian wildfire smoke and the really 2-week delay in planting, and then it was kind of cold and rainy for the rest of the year. So we got not a crop failure, but a pretty miserable crop. So, I was paying out about, say, $90,000, $100,000 in peppers purchased that year locally. And then last year it was just a great berserk year for peppers. So that jumped up to $250,000 in peppers. So I have a lot of peppers right now.
A lot of peppers.
To the point where our warehouse is like, we're running out of space, which would have seemed unfathomable, that we would run out of storage at Soda's Cold Storage, where we contract with. So what we do is, from late August to, as late in October as you can get before frost hits, basically. Yeah. And when there's temperatures where the peppers will ripe, because we focus on ripe peppers more than green peppers. Yeah. We're just, putting stuff in pails. We mill it raw and get it out to the freezer at Sodas as quickly as we can, and maybe at a rate of, say, 4,000 pounds a day. Milling. Wow. And those are like habaneros, through fatales, scorpion peppers, ghost peppers. Yeah, just very, very hot stuff.
So if I'm like cooking and I'm running short on peppers, and like Wegmans doesn't have what I need, I could just give you a call.
If you want a 5-gallon pail of ghost peppers, I have some of those available.
All right, good to know. Thank you.
They're all milled up, not whole, so it's like it's a puree. So
gotcha.
But if you have a need, we can make that happen.
I appreciate that. I'll let you try what I make. So So then I want to get into what really, we mentioned a little bit what was really the impetus of your explosion. You were chosen to be on the Hot Ones show. Now this is like a big YouTube show.
Correct.
So tell us, give our audience here an overview if they don't know about the show.
So Hot Ones is hosted by Sean Evans. It's put out by Complex Media. So there's layers, and it can be a little confusing because it's Complex Media that has a bunch of shows, and then Hot Ones is their most popular show. But they have shows about making burgers and other food-related things. First We Feast. I'm skipping over them. So it's Complex first. See what I'm saying? It's confusing. Yeah. Complex, First We Feast, and then Hot Ones. And Hot Ones was just, has been traded by a couple of different media companies, and they just a conglomerate, including the host and the producer, Chris Schoenberg, purchased the show recently. And anyway, that's a little bit about the structure. They have, A-list celebrities come on. They're getting interviewed while eating increasingly spicier wings. So there's 10 wings, and every time they taste a wing, Sean brings up a new subject for the guest, and they explore that until they get to the next wing. And it goes up and up and up. So very mild to start with, and then brutally hot towards the end. And there's a bit of an arc where they go through, like, number 8 is actually the most brutal sauce, and it kind of just barely calms down for 9 and 10.
Right.
But Yeah, it's been on for years now, and it's been very, very popular. And it doesn't show any signs of slowing down. So
yeah, and so it's kind of like the show for hot sauce lovers and just anybody, right?
I think for celebrity interviews really is the thing. It's like, when they get Lady Gaga on or Bill Murray, and they're just being he's a good interviewer, and that's what makes the show work. And just the setting is just sort of it puts folks off balance a little bit.
Yeah,
and then that's what makes part of the fun.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of them, and I've seen the show for years, never knowing that was your sauce, right? So, but there's been, we talked about Bobby Flay, Gordon Ramsay, Andrew Zimmerman's been on the show, David Blaine, Ashton Kutcher, Lady Gaga. Some of these people I don't even know because I'm 50 plus, but Bad Bunny, Questlove. I do know Bill Murray. So a lot of times they will have celebrities on the show. That obviously adds to the allure of the show as well, besides the hot sauce,
right?
So,
and just they mix it up in terms of the background. So some folks will be familiar with like folks that have been in movies or TV, but then they have Instagram folks and athletes. Like Shaq was a really great. There's like a very memeable short video of him trying a wing and turning his face and going woo.
Yeah.
I just ate something hot face. So.
Well, to see this 7-8 foot man, this gargantuan specimen of strength to be affected by some hot sauce, right? So
yeah, right. Then with David Blaine and Bill Murray, they're like completely stoic and unaffected by the heat, and then they bring with Bill Murray they bring Pete Davidson in at the end, and he's just losing it. He can't hold it together,
right?
And it's a bit, so it's like, oh, this is not fake. This is just the range of reactions you see when people try spicy food.
Yeah.
From this doesn't bother me at all to I can't handle it.
It depends on people's palate, right? I mean, like I've had banana peppers where I'm like for 10 minutes I'm like, oh my god, why did I do that? Why did I do that? Right? You never know, right? So,
yeah, I mean, especially with raw peppers, they hit. When you get into sauces, there's a bit more the heat. The chemistry, the chemicals are sort of homogenized in it. So when you have a raw pepper, the texture of it and the fact that the capsaicin is the thing that causes the heat, the compounds are more at the surface. So you're getting those more immediately than you would if you were if it was already pureed and cooked or whatever. Yeah, so melts it out.
So there's a new season of Hot Ones coming up. It's going to feature your newest sauce called Liftoff, which, by the way, if you're watching this, I'm holding it up right here. Tell me about Liftoff. This is your newest sauce?
Yeah, that's our newest sauce. That's Karma Sauce branded, and it's on the medium mild side. Mm-hmm. And actually, the show, I think the season's just wrapping up now. I don't know if they had the finale, so it's been out since the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And we do a thing there where we take galangal, a kaffir lime leaf. Galangal is like a South Asian cousin of ginger, and we infuse vinegar with that and some green stuff. So we use a little bit of coconut sugar and coconut water. It just has a really nice tangy herbal or herbaceous vibe to it that just goes really well with a variety of foods. How do you
I'm listening to you and I'm like, this guy is way beyond my IQ level. Like how do you have this inkling of knowing what flavors are going to go with what? Like I just half the flavors you've just mentioned I haven't even heard of, right? So how do you know they're going to fuse together and provide like an interesting experience?
Well, it's coming up with flavor profiles is interesting. Sometimes it's just basically my personal experience and bias. Like I've eaten a lot of food over the years, so I do it. I cook every day, pretty much, not at home, not in a professional setting.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just imagining how things like we made this sauce cherry bomb. Like I had an idea. I had it in my head for 2 years before I actually made it. That these are the things I wanted to put together to get this effect. So sometimes it's like dark things with light things, and then I'll other times, more recently, I'll just take inspiration from this tool that's online. And it's more of when you think of like artistry, right? You can color spaces, you can take all kinds of different philosophies, and there's different ways of structuring your palette, contrasting things, harmonious colors, three things that are balancing around the color wheel. And you can do the same thing with food, essentially, though that sense is a little bit different than our sense of sight. But there's this move, I I think maybe starting with around IBM Watson, where they did a thing which was South by Southwest, and they were using the supercomputer to design food. Which, by the way, it turned out one of the things they designed was called Bengali butternut barbecue sauce, which was 70% similar to our curry karma sauce. And I had a friend who's a scholar over at IBM, and I started complaining to him that they were ripping me off. But anyway,
you're competing. Watson is competing with you, right?
Right. So if you there's an interesting site, I think it's hosted in Delhi, India, that's called Flavor DB, where you can actually go and pull up an ingredient, and it will show you other foods across categories that have similar flavor molecules. And so you might look for unexpected things there. Sometimes, but what I really like is to work off a brief when somebody says, like, for example, Los Calientes, they came to me and said, well, we want something that's kind of Acapulco barbecue. That's what we're looking for out of this sauce. That was the description. And I like those kind of projects where I'm either giving some, kind of like the cooking challenge shows where, like, here are the ingredients you have to work with, right? And how do you make those work? Or here's a brief, because I think it's nice to have a boundary in your creative process here's, it's not completely open-ended where you're just, blank page of, because then you can get a little bit lost in terms of what you're trying to do. You have to set a boundary, even if it's your own boundary, to be able to beat against something to make it work. Like the locavore thing. Okay, I'm going to use things that I can get near here. Yeah. And which one of those things do I think are going to combine in an interesting way?
Do you have a tough time saying to yourself, okay, it's done? I mean, I can picture you saying, like, what if I had to just a little bit more of this or a touch more of that?
Yeah. I think there is a difference between where it's just not near ready, and then that micro tuning, which you can go around in circles.
Micro tuning, I like that.
Yeah. It's like, well, can you tell a difference? And there are ways to, if you back off, I think it was Francesco Rinaldi that really got into the science of that, where, they were trying to minimize the cost of a spaghetti sauce. And they just said, okay, can people even tell the difference? So that's where you get into, like, focus groups and whatnot. Now, I don't really have that. I'm kind of just making stuff up as I go. And I may have a client who's got really particular opinions and says, oh, well, yeah, I need a little bit more of this and that. And so there's a little bit of iterations in that. Sometimes I'll just go full factorial and say, all right, I'm going to make a matrix of here's the spot in the center we started. If you want a little more of this or that, we'll try and cover that in 9 samples. And sometimes, especially with a customer that I have a more intimate relationship with, like heatness, I could get away with saying things like, oh, by the way, I'm not going to tell you what those are.
Right. Yeah.
There's number 1 through 9. You tell me what you think.
Or like the Italian grandmother that doesn't tell you everything that's in the recipe either, right? So
yeah. So
I left out the anchovy. I didn't tell him about the anchovy, right?
Yeah, and even on a micro sense, I'll do that around the factory when I'm working on something. It's like, okay, I'll put a little more vinegar to this one, a little more or less salt, and then have folks in my immediate vicinity try it. It's interesting how the perceptions vary compared to the thing you changed. It's like, oh, this one's definitely sweeter. It's like, yeah, I just added.
Yeah.
I changed the oregano to a marjoram on that one, or something like that.
I feel like you're an artist. Like, I don't know, maybe you do paint because you're kind of a Renaissance man, but I feel like you're an artist with just having these, instead of colors, these flavors in your head that will go together. And no one else can do what you're doing because it's just kind of like innately in your head.
Well, there's certain, I wouldn't say that. I would say yes, there's definitely artistry to it, of course. And then, but someone else can do this work, but they would have a different result.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Their own fingerprint on it, right? So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Unless it's like a 3 ingredient thing. Okay, if it's just or a 2 ingredient, like if I'm doing garlic, salt, and peppers, I mean, it's gonna be a little tighter. But then there's process things that can impact that. How you go about it, and it gets to be a bit more like a brewing. Yeah. People can have a recipe for brewing beer or whatever, and it can come out quite different depending on the technique they use. Right.
Yeah. Well, and that's the cool thing about all this, kind of micro brewing. Maybe you're like a micro hot sauce company. I mean, just because you're able to do some different fun things because you're not mass producing just to make $1 gazillion. I think you're trying to, you got to make money. You're a business, but you also want to, kind of like have your fingerprint and make an impact on something unique and different, right?
Yeah, I think that's the point. Otherwise, we would have taken a different tact, to begin with. It wasn't.
Yeah.
There are easier ways to make money than hot sauce.
Right. But you're doing it.
Yeah.
You found a way.
Yeah.
How do you like owning a business?
It's interesting. When I first started in the garage, I never anticipated the the complexity of having 15 people working for you. It's as a an engineer, I initially was in a lot of project management stuff early on. Then over time I realized that I like just working on the tech stuff.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm doing that and being an individual contributor, and I can help make it rain a little bit with proposals on technical stuff I add to pitches to customers, and that's great. Yeah. But now I've got this business, and now all of a sudden I've got to hire more and more people. It's like, oh, I didn't really prepare for that. So it's it's that the general you really have to have concern for the folks working for you, and that's kind of dominate a lot of your thoughts. So that's a place I didn't expect to be, or I didn't think that through well enough.
Yeah. So. Well, have you grown the business so that you can focus on your strengths and the things that you're like maybe don't have innate strength. Maybe you do, but I know a lot of entrepreneurs that are kind of artists like you. They're very good at creating the product, or maybe they're very good at marketing or sales, but they're not good at managing people. They're not good at the finance, the details. They'll just hire people to take care of that stuff so you can focus on what you do best. Have you been able to do that?
To some extent, yeah. No, again, I actually am pretty hard on myself on the whole management thing, and some folks tell me I'm better at it than I think. I doubt that that's true, but the finance part of it, I'm okay with, and until you start getting into tax code things, and that's like, okay, we're in managing. Okay, all right, I have all this inventory, I got to pay taxes on that too. It doesn't feel like money. But.
Right. Yeah. You haven't realized the profits on that yet, right?
Right. So they're a long way. So we got $800,000 in inventory. It's like all of a sudden it's like, wow, that's a lot. Yeah. That was managing that's been that's a little tricky, especially when you've got things that are seasonal, right? So I can't. Yeah. The just in time thing doesn't work, and then even some suppliers that say are out of town, for apricot. So we have a little bit limited apricot available that's grown in New York, but so most of it's not. Yeah. And those, you're looking at purchase contracts that kick off in June, and they want you to take it all immediately. And then it's like, well, then what do I do for this stuff for, right. It's got to last another 18 months. And is it frozen? Is it packed aseptically? That's like the apple sauce they sell in the grocery store in little containers. So, this handling and shelf life and all that goes into it. So it's a lot of logistics. And when you're going through, thousands of pounds of stuff, many thousands of pounds of stuff a week, it gets a little bit more complicated. Yeah,
well, you figure it out. That's part of being an entrepreneur, right?
Yep.
Sometimes, there's a saying now, don't ask how, ask who. Trying to find the best person to figure out that how, so you could focus on what you do best, right?
Yeah,
so
we've been very fortunate there. I've got some, good folks that have come from on Monday, from Once Again, that have good production experience. Deb Cosimo's really been really great. So
and now you got an expert PR guy, so you're all set, really.
Well, yeah, he's been doing a really good job of again, going out in public and doing stuff like this is not something I would have done a lot of, because it's evidenced by the fact that I haven't in the past 10 years. So
yeah, no, Vince is the best. In fact, we're gonna use Vince's ability to give me some samples in about a second here. So I think what I want to do is use the last few minutes here is do maybe a condensed version of Hot Ones. I don't know if I'll try all 10, but I'd love to showcase and try maybe 3 or 4 of your sauces, and maybe you could describe them, and we'll go through the gamut a little bit to palatable to like, oh my God, where's the water, and everywhere in between. What do you think, Vince?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
Well, first, what I'll do is I'll give you guys a little ad here. So tell me about this. This is a 4-pack of Karma sauce, small batch hot sauce, handcrafted in the Finger Lakes. I'll hold it up. This is people can buy this and have it shipped to them, and it's a 4-pack.
That's correct. Yeah. So the one you're holding there is the original. Those are the 4 sauces that we had before the season on Hot Ones, and coincidentally, those are all on the high end of the spectrum. So those are the Extreme Karma is the mildest sauce in that whole pack. Everything else is that or hotter. So
Extreme is the mild one. Okay.
Yeah, and that's it. So that was the
enough said.
So that was a funny thing, because I wanted to get a milder sauce on sooner, and what happened was they had something where it wasn't working out in their number 9 spot, and so we in a month redesigned a product we already had, a new label and whatnot, came up with Scorpion Disco, which turned out to be very popular with the guests, but it's very hot. And so because of that, it would kind of pushed us, in consideration for another appearance to later.
Yeah. How fun.
And then
naming these things is fun. Scorpion Disco.
Yeah, that's one of the better ones.
Yeah.
Then we had Cosmic Disco, which is probably terrible because I always get it confused because we have Cosmic Dumpling and we have Scorpion Disco, and that sauce is actually a mashup of those two.
Okay.
So so we're like, oh, this was so popular, we'll try this one. So now Cosmic Disco didn't have quite as much resonance as Scorpion Disco did with the guests, but it was still a very good sauce, but really kind of too hot for most people. So right now we have a mild medium sauce on the show, which is what I've wanted for a long time. Again, it's a bit presumptive of me to say I can get on this show again, right? Although it is tougher for them to find sauces to showcase than you might think because they're very particular, right? So it's not like anything can get on there, and people ask me that. How can I get on there all the time? So that's a constant question. So,
well, you've proven your credibility too. So they know that you're going to have good stuff. So, so I'm ready to try here. Should I start off with your new product, Liftoff? Is that a good way to start? Good place to start?
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's got a little bit of a kick to it, but not too much. We have Jujupini here, which is completely mild as well. But so this is the second mildest thing on the table right now.
So tell me about what are the ingredients of Liftoff here? I'll see if I can taste them.
It's green serrano, a little bit of savory alums like garlic and onion, and that infused vinegar, some Thai basil, culantro, which is like a stronger cousin of cilantro.
Yeah. Wow.
So
I definitely taste the cilantro. And then what else is in there? You said.
Thai basil.
I taste the basil for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that one to me, outside of like with Thai food and it's like maybe spring rolls, that kind of thing. Yeah. I've been using that a lot, like what's it called? Like a chimichurri almost. So if you have something grilled, it's just fantastic on top of anything grilled. Really,
that's really good. Now I forgot to tell you, I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to hot sauce. So for me, that was pretty hot. I mean, I'm feeling it. I'm like, whoa, I wish I had some bread here. But that was good. It was very good. But not just hot for hot's sake. Like definitely a great mix of flavors. And I'm feeling the heat already.
Yeah,
so let's bring it up a notch, Vince. What do you think?
Oh, really? Okay, you're gonna go that way. All right.
Yeah.
I was gonna
go down.
No, I was gonna be easy on you, but Vince is gonna.
Oh, yeah.
Take it, bring it to you. So this is actually one of our best sellers, Ghost Island. So,
Ghost Island,
which sounds scarier than it really is.
All right.
So this has got a nice mango, like a tropical fruit vibe, mustardy.
I'll show this up here. Ghost Island. So tell me about it again. I'm sorry.
So it's got a little mango. It's got a little bit of fruity vibe to it. It's that sort of Crimean inspired, a little mustard. Like a West Indies curry.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So that's just great. With anything really. Breakfast. If I want a Jamaican beef patty, I can't not have that sauce.
Yeah, I could picture putting this on my eggs in the morning too, or something.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
Oh, that is good. I taste the mango for sure. It definitely has that Caribbean flavor. You're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That wasn't for me. It wasn't as hot as the Liftoff.
Isn't that interesting? It's technically very much not. They're not even really close. And this is why I don't like to talk about Scoville ratings a lot because,
right.
They were misreported a lot and misinterpreted even among people who are making hot sauce. And then perception, people can't agree on which sauce is hotter, like a lot of the time.
It depends, right? Depends on the palate, right? So,
And then, it also depends on the context of how you're sampling it. But even, straight off a spoon, people will disagree.
Yeah. I should have got chicken wings this morning, but we're doing this in the morning, so.
Yeah. So now he's going to bring it. Now, this is a sweeter sauce, but also very hot.
Okay. And what's this one called?
This is the Scorpion Disco. So I would use
Disco.
This. Yeah. I would use this like on maybe a fried chicken sandwich or something very, very sparingly, but it's great. Right. Yeah. In that context, it'll linger.
All right.
It'll linger.
I think you're trying to I think Vince is trying to have some fun with me. I don't know. Maybe I offended you in high school and you're getting me back.
I'm a hot sauce lover too. So
yeah.
Is another reason this job is a good fit. But
yeah.
That'll hurt you a little bit.
All right. So tell me about the flavors in here.
So it's very what we call pod forward or pepper forward. So a lot of pepper, like a lot more than you had before.
Yeah.
We use a little bit of our instant karma spice blend, which is like similar to a 5-spice blend in it, and just vinegar and there's sugar in there and it's sweet. So it's mostly that 5-spice sort of blend plus a lot of pepper.
I feel
a little
like
bit of apple cider vinegar.
Yeah. That's good. Maybe my palate is getting warmed up, but
That happens. That does happen.
But it's not killing me. I feel now maybe I'm totally wrong, but like it's almost like it would go good instead of putting barbecue sauce on chicken, putting like if you're going to grill your chicken, putting this on there instead.
You could, but it would be insanely hot if you went to town with a whole bunch of that on some chicken. It would be pretty brutal.
Is there a hint of a barbecue flavor there or something like that?
Not necessarily. I think it's just the combination of the sugar and the vinegar. Because in fact, barbecue sauce is has way more sugar than that does. And that, when the crew's when we're making this one, it's still like, wow, that's a lot of sugar. Because we have used so little of it and everything else. We mostly use a little bit of honey or agave or whatnot. So that one is a bit over the top.
It's hit me now as I breathe. There's a little fire going on. So what's this one? Is this one going to bring me down a little bit, or is it going to bring me up more?
This one is just a little less sweet. I wouldn't say that it's hotter. It's we also consider this in a Caribbean vibe, but less so. Just a little bit of thyme in there.
Yeah. This one's called what?
Carnival. Also very popular. But it's a lot of pepper.
Yeah,
a lot of pepper.
Right. Okay. All right.
But yellow types Scotch bonnet, Vitale, yellow Moruga. Moruga's a famous town in Trinidad, which historically might be one of the birthplace of all the super hot peppers, as far as we know. It's not definitive yet, but that's the most well known place for native varieties of the super hot peppers that came along after the Ghost and whatnot. We're kind of say discovered here because we know about them in America now, but of course they've been around for thousands of years.
Time. Yeah, my mouth is definitely on fire right now. Mm-hmm. So this is good. So so I'm going to try this one once again. This is the Carnival.
Carnival, yeah.
Carnival. All right,
yeah.
And then Vince, I'll probably do one more after this.
Perfect.
Are you going to bring me down with the next one, or are you going to bring?
Yeah.
Vince is like, ha ha ha.
Yeah. So it's a fairly lateral move. I don't know if I've tried these back to back myself.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So tell me about the ingredients in here again as I try it.
Yellow pepper, just a pinch of sugar in that one, and a little bit of thyme.
Oh, that's nice.
Maybe there's ginger in that as well. I'll have to look at the ingredients declaration. It's been a while.
Yeah, being Italian, I could taste the thyme. That's good. I like it. Yeah. I do like that one. Yeah, that's not as hot for me. Yeah. Or maybe I'm just numb. I don't know.
No, it's like I said, it's a fairly lateral move.
Yeah.
Fairly lateral. Yeah. The one that he's chosen for you here next or last is no sweetness whatsoever. Much tangier.
It's called burn.
Yes, burn after eating. So this is a much more challenging sauce. It's got an interesting vibe to it because it's got hang powder with asafoetida, which is a resin grown in Afghanistan that's very common in Indian food. They actually cut it with some different gums to make it more manageable because it'd be like amber almost, and without that. So it's got a interesting aromatics and just a lot of heat, zero sugar. And
Vince has an evil look on his face right now.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Famous last words. Oh, that's good. That is delicious. Not killing me yet, but yeah. No, there's. Ooh, there it goes. There. Yeah, that's like doing a tequila shot where it hits you a little bit later, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of those super
little tang to it.
Yeah, it's much. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's much tangier. A lot more pepper solids in that one.
Yeah,
and,
Wow, I feel the hair on my chest growing right now. That was fabulous. That was good. And what time is it? It's like 10:30 in the morning. So
you're ready. You're awake for the rest of the day.
A great way to start my day. Absolutely.
You still want to be awake at 3 a.m. That's the
yeah.
That's the concern.
Oh, fabulous! What a good breakfast, right? So, what is? Do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite sauce of yours?
Ghost Island is one I use all the time.
Yeah.
And the Los Calientes Verde sauce is another favorite of mine. I'm fond of the Cherry Bomb because it's so unique and it's won so many awards. But it's kind of so unique that you're not going to use it every day in the way that you would something like Ghost Island, or Frank's or something like that. So, I tend to drift towards those things that are more everyday. And of course, the Cosmic Dumpling is another favorite. Just
That's
because.
a good one. Huh? Do you have like recommendations on your website, like what sauce they have with like almost like wine pairing?
Yeah, we do. We have a little bit of that. We're always improving it, but yes, we just recently redid the website, so we've got some new ideas there.
Yeah. Well, it's a good burn. It's a good because there's flavor with it, So, Vince, what's your favorite?
I too love the Ghost Island. I love that Carnival sauce, and I love Ashes to Ashes too. It's pretty hot. You didn't taste that one, but that's Ashes to Ashes.
Yeah, I'm more into Ashes to Ashes than the burn after eating myself. But
all right.
Yeah, I met a guy from Pittsford, Sutherland, whose mother died recently, and I brought him a bottle of Ashes to Ashes. We were at the Pittsford pub. Little did I know he had just come from a crematorium appointment for his mother, and I brought him a bottle of Ashes to Ashes. So he looked at it and said, "What the hell are you doing bringing me this?" I had no idea you just had that meeting.
Talk about karma, right? So, wow. So, well, congratulations. This is super, what a great success story. And it was like definitely step by step building a solid foundation to the point where you're like, I can do this full time. And you've stayed focused, right? Have you been tempted to do other products besides hot sauce?
Earlier on, I was pulling around with different, catsup and mustard ideas. I'd like to get back to doing some mustards, but to do it right at the scale we're at, I need a little bit different equipment. And there was a shortage of mustard for a couple of years where I couldn't even really get it. Getting just enough to keep Ghost Island going as it is.
Yeah.
So that's backburnered for now, but I'm a big mustard fan as well. So
all right, that's awesome. Where do you see yourself 5-10 years with this company?
I think we're going to do a good job with getting into a little bit more of the distribution outside of New York, expanding that, and that's really the focus right now is getting the Karma brand, to up at the level that the Hot Ones brand is at now. That's kind of that's the goal.
Yep, that's awesome.
It's always been a chase because that's expanded, quickly as well. So
yeah,
we looked at Los Calientes. I can't remember the exact number, but basically, with the last time before they did the Los Calientes launch, the previous launch, was about 50 times smaller. One's like, oh, we have a new Hot One sauce, came out, and so that's just gotten bigger and bigger. And of course, they're expanding in different directions, and we have a different take on where we're taking the Karma sauce brand. So but there's like a lot of open space in the market.
It's exciting. Now, as we wrap up here, if people want to buy it, they're like, oh my God, I have to try some of these sauces. Again, what's the best place to go about purchasing all the different sauces?
Yeah, if you want to try everything that we make, karmasauce.com is the best way to go.
We can order right from there.
You can. Yeah, we're working on a map, improving our map so that when you want to find a retailer, we're accounting for what's where, because that can be a frustration for folks. If I make a recommendation, they'll go here for this, and then you find out they don't carry that. That's something we're wary of because we have so many products, and some of the distribution is a little bit more focused to the more popular sauces, which is not, and there's nothing wrong with that because they are more popular for a reason. Ghost Island is one that we're going to have everywhere that we try to sell the sauce, right? So
yeah. My tongue is starting to calm down, but that was fantastic. Do you guys find that over time people's tolerance can increase?
Absolutely, it can increase just like you're experiencing today, right? You, especially if I go to a hot sauce show, right? You try something the first time and it seems really hot. And I actually had the experience. Well, I didn't have the experience exactly. It's my wife who has a lower tolerance.
Yeah.
But I was working on the cherry bomb sauce and Ghost Island. I used to have when I originally came up with Ghost Island, it was a bit different style. It was hotter than the one you tried today.
Yeah.
And the afternoon, I just finished working on Ghost Island. I went back and tried a little sample of the cherry bomb I'd been working on in the morning, and I'm like, wow, this is great. It's not even hot. Honey, try this,
Right.
And so that was a credibility shot. He's like, this is, what are you kidding? This is burning me.
Kelly let you have it a little bit?
Yeah. So
and
sure.
I know your wife. Please tell Kelly I said hello. I've known your wife for 20 plus years.
Yeah, well, I'll let her know. So I'm, at that point I was for time forbidden to make any prototypes at the house, especially because we have this loft, catwalk kind of situation upstairs. Yeah. And sometimes those pepper fumes just, it's not so bad in the kitchen, but you go up on the landing and all of a sudden, you hit this wall of pepper.
Yeah.
So
this has been awesome. This has been the one of the most best experiences I've had doing a podcast. So thanks, Gene.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
And Vince. Good to see you again.
Dave.
Yeah, you too, Dave.
To think we've known each other since we were about 12, 13 years old, right? So
it goes quick.
I know, it does go quick. We're having our, believe it or not, Vince, in a couple of years, we're having our 40-year high school reunion.
Crazy.
How about that?
I'll be there.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Everybody, listen, I'm going to hold this up again. Get your 4-pack or get whatever sauce that is tickling your fancy for that day. KarmaSauce.com. Nationwide, maybe global. People want to get it all over the world.
Yeah, so it's funny. You can get it. Easiest place outside the U.S. to purchase it is in France. We have quite a few shops there.
Awesome.
And a little bit, in Canada and elsewhere. But that's pretty much what we have mostly going on. Australia, we have a couple of shops in Australia as well. So, but it's small export right now. Always looking to increase that.
That's great. Well, congratulations. A great Rochester success story. We appreciate you. Congratulations. I wish you continued massive success in everything that you're doing.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah,
really
thank you.
appreciate that.
And I want to thank everybody for listening and watching today as well. Couldn't do this without the fan base. We appreciate you. If you like this episode, please share it. Share with anybody that you know that loves hot sauce or just loves a good podcast, a good interview with Gene here. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, like us, love us, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that great stuff. We appreciate you. Make sure to have a great day and stay awesome.